This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your source for the latest Iowa ag news headlines right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley.
Good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Thursday, May 1st of 2025. It is May Day. We are so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I talk with Albre Brown of BASF about some new fungicide technology that they have out for soybeans. Also have a check of the closing markets with the folks from agmarket.net. But first, let's take a look at that conversation with Albre Brown of BASF about some new fungicide technology that will help take care of a major soybean disease. Today, we're talking about Cercopsora leaf blight. In 2024, that foliar disease was across the U.S. and was the top yield limiting factor. So first off, Albre, if you could tell us a little bit about CLB and just how it impacts those soybean crops and limits those yields.
Cercopsora leaf blight was identified as the #1 yield-limiting foliar disease by Crop Protection Network in 2024. This disease is particularly interesting because of its late-season symptom onset. What I mean by that is by the time growers start to see symptom presentation at R5 to R6 soybean growth stage, the pathogen has already been spreading within the host. That's because this pathogen has a life cycle that can complete itself within the soybean host. The disease purple seed stain is caused by the same pathogen that causes Cercopsora leaf blight. The pathogen can enter into the host through infected seed or residue that has been overwintering in your soybean field from years before. That residue can cause in-season infections, but also that infected seed has the potential to begin challenging your soybean seed from early season. If you make a fungicide application at the R2 growth stage, you're going to prevent the pathogen from spreading and protecting your reproductive period. So at R2 growth stage in soybeans, that's when we're at full bloom. We want to make that fungicide application at the end of R2 before we start to get pod fill at R3, protecting that reproductive window. As I mentioned, the Cercopsora leaf blight symptoms begin to appear at R5 and R6 soybean growth stage, but that's because the pathogen has been building up phytotoxic metabolites within the soybean host plant. And then when it gets hot and dry in season, that heat is going to interact with the leaf, and it's going to cause burning of that phytotoxic metabolite in that leaf to produce these purple leathery symptoms that can be a bit hard to identify and distinguish because they're not those round circular lesions that we typically associate with a disease such as frog eye leaf spot. So frog eye leaf spot symptoms are those round circular lesions that have that red halo. You can look at an infected leaf and be pretty certain that is a fungal disease affecting my leaf. But Cercopsora leaf blight, on the other hand, has that purple, leathery, burning look on the soybean leaves. So it's important to learn to identify and distinguish what disease is affecting your yield so that you can properly manage and treat those diseases.
So in your paper that you wrote about Cercopsora leaf blight and also kind of management strategies, you mentioned proactive use being an effective strategy to managing that. Revuloc fungicide from BASF being effective to treat that as well. Tell us a little bit about how that all works together to kind of keep that as a problem that doesn't affect your yield.
Revuloc fungicide is a multi-mode of action fungicide designed to treat key soybean diseases such as purple seed stain and Cercopsora leaf blight and frog eye leaf spot. So by making your fungicide application in a timely manner, you're going to be able to treat them with 2 active ingredients, Revysol, the newest frat group 3 molecule on the market, only available from BASF. This is a high-powered DMI molecule. This DMI molecule has the ability to stick and bind to the pathogen target sites, but it's also formulated in Reviloc with xemium, a frac group 7 SDHI. The combination of these two modes of action will be able to target and treat pathogen populations that might have developed resistance to older chemistries. The DMIs have strong performance on Cercopsora species. Cercopsora species are known to cause Cercopsora leaf blight and frog eye leaf spot. So it's important not to confuse the two so that you can have targeted management tactics. But at the end of the day, Reviloc fungicide is going to offer comprehensive broad spectrum control of Cercopsora species that end up causing significant yield limitations, even if growers don't spot the symptoms in their field.
So when it comes to Reviloc fungicide, what's the best way for producers to get in touch and start the process of using that on their operation?
So producers should speak to their local BASF representative or talk to their ag retailer about BASF products such as Reviloc fungicide. If a grower has been able to reach out to their BASF representative in the past, just give them a call. But if you haven't met with your BASF representative, you can go online and use the BASF Rep Finder tool, enter in your zip code, and then it'll connect you with your local BASF rep. Give them a call. We're always happy to help and discuss on-farm profitability for producers.
All right, again, excuse me. All right, again, Albre Brown, BASF Technical Marketing Manager, our guest today. Thank you so much for your time and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Happy to hear from y'all.
Thanks again to Albre Brown of BASF for joining us on today's show. We'll take a look at the closing markets next, but first, here's a word from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. It's time now to take a look at the closing markets with Cory Bratland of agmarket.net. First off, Cory, what do we see going on in the grains today?
Yeah, hey, Riley, corn market overall kind of give back a little bit what we've been gaining. July contract, which is our front month here after we are into delivery notice here on the May contract. But the July futures jumped up here and hit resistance up around 480 on the July board and since backed off. Also this morning, the bull spreads were working where July was outperforming what December was. And we saw that spread kind of unwind here a little bit today where we saw, July corn, down a couple cents with new crop December corn up a penny. So not a lot of new news out there. The planting conditions are a little bit kind of on again, off again. We definitely got some pockets that are getting a little bit too much rain. We had other pockets that definitely see these rains as beneficial. But it looks like next week we'll kind of open up and get the stuff kind of back on track as far as the planting pace. On the soybeans, they were up a nickel here today. There is some optimism here about a potential trade deal with India that could be pretty positive for the soybean oil market. Plus, we are still kind of waiting for some guidance from the EPA regarding the biomass diesel fuels if we get some increase in the mandate. So we're still just kind of patiently waiting for that, but there's definitely optimism in here to boost that soybean market up today.
And then looking at the export sales that we saw today, above the 5-year average for both corn and soybeans, looking pretty good there. With the May Day holiday, it's more of a thing in the European countries. They celebrate a little bit more. They won't be trading necessarily. Could we see that impact export sales potentially for next week as they kind of take a back seat for the holiday?
Yeah, you could. We've had some export flash sales here this week leading up to today. I think we had 3 days in a row of some corn export sales. And some of those are to unknown destinations, which we kind of expect are from European countries. So with them folks being on holiday, yeah, I think next week we maybe will start to see that demand pick back up. But there's no doubt about it. The demand here for U.S. corn continues to stay very strong. Like you said, another good, strong week for corn export sales. And it was a little down from the last couple of weeks, but still well over 1 million metric ton, but still very strong. And also our ethanol exports have been really strong as well, too.
And then looking at the livestock side of things, how did cattle and hogs trade today?
Yeah, cattle were kind of mixed here. They started out higher, quite a bit higher, $1.50 to $2 higher. We got with April fat cattle going off the board here. They're no longer traded. We have a gap down to the June contract trade in this 208, 209. Cash, I haven't heard much for cash trade this week. I am hearing some talk that maybe some feedlots were passing 220 cash in the north here. I haven't got that confirmed yet, but that's kind of what I'm hearing. But they end up today mixed. The front few months were a little bit higher, with the back deferred months down just a touch. Feeder cattle were lower. Hogs were mixed on the day as well.
All right, Cory, lots of great information today. For anyone who would like to get in touch with agmarket.net and learn more, how can they do that?
Yeah, just head on over to our website, which is agmarket.net, and you can get a hold of us through there.
All right, Cory, thanks again for the analysis as always, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, thanks, Riley.
Thanks again to the folks at agmarket.net for the analysis as always. We'll take a look at the closing market prices through the market window at iowaagnet.com. At the close, May corn down 3 even at $4.64 1/4. May soybeans up 5 1/2 at $10.40 1/4. May soybean meal down $3.50 at $2.8650. Soybean oil up 78 cents at $49.36. Chicago wheat up 2 1/4 at $5.15 1/4. Kansas City hard red wheat up 1 3/4 at $5.16 even. Minneapolis spring wheat up 2 1/2 at $6.16 1/2. May oats up 8 3/4 at $3.65 even. On the Merc, June live cattle up $1.25 at $209.65. May feeders up 65 cents at $293.22. May lean hogs up 47 cents at $92.40. May class 3 milk up 8 cents at $18.45. That's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. That also brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also follow us on social media, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and find our video content as well as previous episodes of AM PM on our YouTube channel. Don't forget as well to subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Check out, as always, our morning, midday, and closing market podcasts for free on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean, or on our website again at iowaagnet.com under the podcast tab. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson, Andy Peterson, and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.